Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris is now on the Audacy app and Audacy.com.
Now, it's time for Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Here's your host, Greg Bicouvaris.
It's a pleasure to welcome Woube Gebre right here on Sports Scene, longtime broadcaster in Hampton Roads, grew up in the Baltimore area. Woube, welcome to Sports Scene.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me. It's an honor, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure to talk to you too, my friend, as well. Tell us about your sports background in broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I started out actually interning at WBAL in Baltimore. So I started there, and then I interned in Richmond, WRIC. Professionally, I really got my break at WRVA Radio and WRNL Sports Radio 910 in the Richmond area. So started there and then worked at a couple of local stations in the 757, Wavy TV, WTKR, and editing in the back behind the scenes. And just did my sports thing from there. And then I have a podcast called Real to Real Sports, and I'm a sports analyst for the NSU Sports Network.
I think it's great that people work on the air and behind the scenes. Totally think that's awesome. And of course, let's talk about Norfolk State. Was a tough year for the football team. It was a losing record. What are your thoughts and what are the optics right now?
I think Dawson Odom's, when he first got there, I think he reiterated and made sure that everybody understood it. It was going to take time to build the program. They haven't had the success that I thought that they should have had this year, but a lot of those games were one-possession games they should have won. And remember, his first year, I think he had his best team in terms of talent, and they finished, I believe, 6-5. Just the last couple of years, they had a couple key guys transfer out. DeQuan Felton went to Virginia Tech, and they lost a couple of running backs. So, I think they're right where they need to be in terms of they have the personnel. I just think a couple plays here and there, and this season could be totally different. But I think Dawson Odom is the right guy. I think next year will definitely be the season to really see that happen, and hopefully they can get some wins. So some of those games they lost last year were turning into wins.
Absolutely. And of course, when you talk about the different teams, there's a lot of dynamics, and you see it too from not only a sports side, Woube, but a business side, that it's a once a week product in football. You only have a limited amount of home games. It's about marketing, about advertising, about getting the word out. And the biggest thing now, that you and your wife both know it, is time. Just spending time, 3 to 4 hours. Do you want to give up your day? So really, not only is it selling the football team and of course trying to get a winning record to get people there, but there's so many things that go into football.
Yeah, I mean, so much, like you said, Greg, it's discipline, it's commitment, it's time management, it's so much. Like you said, you have so many other things going on, and that's why I think it's a process, because you have so many guys, and especially the landscape of college sports now, college athletics. You have the NIL and the transfer portal. Every year you have to rebuild a roster and try to get the players that you want in position. And then if you have to recruit your own players, and you have to recruit players coming in. So it's tough. But, again, I think that they have the personnel and they have the talent. I think they just have to get it together in all three phases. And then this offseason is definitely going to be key for the Spartans, the football team. Absolutely.
A lot of different sports. And the basketball team has done very well over the years, too, making the NCAA tournament.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am a huge fan of Coach Jones over at Norfolk State. I mean, he is a great coach, X's and O's guy. He's a New Yorker. He brings that fire and passion down here to Virginia. They weren't able to make the NCAA tournament last year. They lost on a heartbreaker to Howard. But how about the win they just had over VCU? I was there broadcasting the game. It was huge for the state. And, and for Norfolk State, it's tough to get those games. So when you have an opportunity to beat a VCU at the Siegel Center, you beat a William & Mary, you beat a Hampton, you beat all these in-state teams, it only can just make your program even go higher than what it is. I mean, the recruiting aspect is just going to go over the top because of these wins. And again, Coach Jones, I think, is one of the more underrated coaches nationally. They're 23rd right now in the mid-major poll, but I think nationally they don't get the recognition. He doesn't get the recognition of being a great coach.
Yeah, we've interviewed him before, a real gentleman as well, and he's very committed to the school. You got to love the colors, the green and gold, of course. And,
of course.
And Norfolk State, they find a way to win with Robert. He doesn't make any excuses. He gets it done. And, of course, it's a 40-minute game, and it's really great offense and great defense.
No excuses at all. I mean, he grinds, and you look at his background. He played Division III basketball as a player. He was a coach. He coached up there. He comes down here. He's an assistant. He was an assistant that team that beat Missouri in the NCAA tournament. He's the head coach, and he's had success ever since he's been the head coach here. I mean, he's been to two NCAA tournaments, an NIT in which he beat Alabama at their place. And you look at this year, the last couple of years, they were the MEAC regular season champions. The last 2 years, they had the player of the year, and Joe Bryant is now playing overseas. And this year, I can imagine they'll be doing the same thing, hopefully cutting the nets down in March.
And they had a player that played a long time ago for the Knicks.
Yeah, Kyle O'Quinn, who played for the Knicks. He was a second-round draft pick from Norfolk State. He comes back around a lot to help the program out, and it's good to see him back, and good to see the kids can actually talk to him and learn from his experiences. He's another guy from New York who Coach Jones. He was actually Coach Jones' first recruit to Norfolk State. So, again, it's a great story. He comes back and he talks to the team a lot, and he's a great guy as well.
Talking to Woube Gebre, of course, right here at Norfolk State Broadcaster. Let's switch gears to Old Dominion. A rough year last year, but they turned it out to be a positive year this year, going 500. And, of course, that rendered enough to get a bowl game.
And I forgot to mention, I am an alum of Old Dominion. Had a lot of great times working radio there at WODU.
Sure.
Had a lot of sports shows, and it was great. But to go back on Coach Ronnie's another one. I think they have the personnel. They just, again, it's getting it together. Of course, they beat Virginia Tech twice since he's been there, which is huge for the program. But they're going bowling again, the second time under his tutelage and under his leadership. So that's a positive. But, again, Old Dominion is just kind of like Norfolk State. Some games they should have won. They should have beat Wake Forest. They probably should have beat Marshall. A couple games they probably could have won, and the Virginia Tech game was close going into the fourth quarter. But, again, you have to like what you see out of Old Dominion. They fought all year. You get a chance to go bowling again. They're going to Charlotte, and they're going to have a tough game against Western Kentucky, a team they know well from Conference USA. But I think Old Dominion, again, I like what I see out of them so far this season. And hopefully this bowl game can carry them over to next season as well.
Absolutely. And, of course, really it does acquit themselves very well. It was a tough year last year, but they really did very well. Like you said, they could have won some of those close games, but the bottom line is at that level that they play in, at least they made a bowl. James Madison has really risen the ranks from the CAA and has done very well. And they got good news. They are going to a bowl, but they lost their coach to Indiana.
Yeah, that's going to happen at that level. I mean, he's a great coach. I mean, I think personally he would have probably had an easier time or better chance to get JMU to the playoff than he will Indiana or have more success. But, again, Big Ten money talks, Greg. We know how that works. Those checks. Yeah, those checks are gonna overtake things. But, yeah, I mean, the Sun Belt Conference, I mean, everybody knows what they're capable of on the football side. I mean, they have great teams. As you mentioned, JMU and ODU had a great game in Harrisonburg, a game that ODU had a chance to win as well. So the Sun Belt is a great conference. They have great teams, great coaches, great fan bases. And, again, that conference, to me, is right below the Power 5 schools.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, Old Dominion was in the Sun Belt back in the 80s for basketball, well before they had a football team. So it's really great how they're doing. We'll see what Jeff Jones will do this year. Yeah,
basketball, I mean, they have the number one recruiting class coming in next year, not to jump ahead, but, this year I think people weren't really sure what they had. They lost a couple guys. I know they lost a guy to Virginia Tech, and they lost a couple other transfers, some key players. Again, that's the landscape of college athletics now. You have to rebuild. But, some games this week, some in-state games. They don't play VCU anymore like they've had in the past, but they have William & Mary and JMU coming up. So, I mean, they have some chances to get some good in-state wins. And, again, the Sun Belt Conference in basketball is tough as well. But I like the future because, again, that recruiting class that I've been reading about, from what I understand, is one of the best they've had in ODU history.
Yeah, the NIL and the portals changed everything. Look at football year to year. You know this, Woube. It changes. The rosters change every single year. You don't see the continuity like when you and I were in school. I went to George Mason. We pretty much kept everybody for 4 years. We did have some people that transfer, but mostly that was junior college back then.
Yeah, you didn't really see a lot of that. I mean, you knew the guys. The fan base knew the players. They knew they were coming back. Back then, and if you transferred, you had to sit out a year. So a lot of kids didn't want to transfer. They just wanted to stay where they were and build and develop where they were. Yeah, you're right. NIL and the transfer portal has done a big 360 on the college game. But these coaches have to adjust to it. It's what it is right now, and it's tough. But that's why they get paid the big bucks. They have to adjust. They have to get assistants to hit the road and do get recruiting, some good recruiting. And I think ODU with Jamal Robinson coming on staff with Coach Jeff Jones he's a great recruiter. He knows the area, and he coached at Hampton University as well, so he knows the 757. He knows the state. But I think that they are where they need to be as well in terms of recruiting. They're getting some good kids in there. They're getting some good transfers. But again, to keep your kids there is the tough thing with the NIL and the transfer portal. That's the key right now.
All right, let's switch gears. Big game this Sunday in Baltimore in the NFL. Of course, you're a big Ravens fan. Of course, they take on the Rams. That will not be easy. Now, the Ravens really have it made. The Bengals lost their quarterback for the year. So did the Browns. The Steelers can't score. I tell you, Woube, this has got to be the year the Ravens evolve in the postseason.
I mean, you look at the division, Greg, and like you said, all the quarterbacks in the AFC North have gone down to injuries, and Lamar Jackson is the lone one standing, the former MVP. Yeah, the Ravens are 9-3. They're on the top of the division. They're playing good football. They're coming off a bye. The defense is playing lights out. Lamar has more weapons. You would think that's a recipe for a Super Bowl opportunity. But, again, we've seen the Ravens. They've done a great job in the regular season, and for whatever reason in the playoffs, they haven't been able to get to that AFC Championship game. I think this is the year they can do it, though. I mean, if they can get that home field advantage and get that first-round bye and Lamar is on point and the defense is playing lights out like they've been playing, this could be the year. I mean, I think – with the Chiefs and the Dolphins right up there, the Jacksonville Jaguars Jacksonville just had Lawrence go down for a few weeks. They can make their mark in these last few games. It's going to be tough, man. We got the Rams Sunday, the Jags, the Dolphins, and the 49ers on the schedule. So it's going to be a tough stretch, but I think the Ravens have what it takes this year to get that ring.
I'll never forget, I was at the 2020 playoff game when they took on the Titans and Derrick Henry, and could hear some of the Titans after the game was over and saying easy work. I mean, just those words are not negative words, but they sure sound like a cut to the Ravens, and the Ravens really have not done well in the postseason. Just for the Titans back then, now the Titans are no threat this year, but just for them to say that to another man, easy work at their place, the Ravens have always had a chip on their shoulder with the postseason.
Yeah, you always hear play like a Raven. Well, that means just hard-nosed, tough football. Sure. Basically, they're just, is what the makeup of the Baltimore, the city. And that year that you're alluding to, Greg, is when they went 14-2 in the regular season, had the best record. Lamar was the MVP. Coming off a bye, everything was doing so well, and the Titans came into M&T Bank and beat the Ravens, which was really tough. And like you said, all those words that were said after the game. But again, the Ravens have always been consistent in terms of playing good football. It's just, again, in the playoffs in the last few years, they haven't been able to get over the hump. And I just think this year, if they can just withstand some injuries, they had a tough injury to Mark Andrews, Lamar's favorite target at tight end, but with their weapons on the outside, with Odell Beckham and Flowers and the running game, I think that the Ravens have an opportunity, Greg, to make some noise in the playoffs this year.
Absolutely. Maybe not the same type of Ravens as Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, but they find a way to win. Harbaugh finds a way to win. It's all about the quarterback and all about offense, defense, and special teams. All right, Woube, leave us with all the social media that you're on and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, of course, Woube Gebre, WOUBEGEBRE, the full name, and I'm on Instagram as well. It's at Mr_Gebre, and I'm on Twitter as well, Mr. Gebre 757. So yeah, you can find me on that, and I post a lot about Norfolk State ODU and, like you said, the Ravens and everything I have going on. So just give me a look and see what I got going on.
Very good, my friend. Thank you for coming on our show. We'll get you back on again next year, and all the best to you and your family for a wonderful holiday season.
You too, Greg, and I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor and a privilege, and I'm humbled that you invited me on. Take care.
It's my pleasure, Woube. Very nice talking to you and connecting with you. All the best. We'll talk to you soon. Sakura Sushi Bar is now open in Virginia Beach. For a one-of-a-kind dining experience, Sakura in Red Mill is a favorite of locals and tourists. Tasty sushi prepared fresh for you, as well as delicious entrees from the kitchen. This is the go-to place for sushi lovers. Enjoy lunch and dinner daily with some refreshing cocktails and adult beverages. Sakura Sushi Bar is located at 2137 Upton Drive and is open daily. Call 757-522-7288 and enjoy your next meal at Sakura Sushi Bar at Red Mill Commons. Now through December 31st at Edinburgh Commons in Chesapeake, at the Edinburgh Commons location only, at the Chick-fil-A, if you buy any large hot or cold nugget strip tray, you'll receive a free cookie tray at that location at Chick-fil-A. Matney Gallery consults for museum acquisitions and investment art for private and public collections in Virginia and elsewhere. They are specialists in Southern art and photography, international contemporary, and Virginia colleges. For more, log on to lindamatneygallery.com. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, open in Yorktown. Go by and see Paul and his wonderful staff. High-quality chicken fingers, fries, coleslaw, Texas toast. It is delicious. The great chicken sandwich, cane sauce, a kids menu, refreshing beverages, tailgates, they've got it all. Follow Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers on social media. They are open daily. Thank you for listening to Sports Scene. Always great to connect. At Greg Bick on YouTube. That's GREGBIC. Subscribe. Also, Greg Bick on Twitter as well. For more, go to gjbtv.com, hrsmhof.com, and hamptonroadsonlinemall.com. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn, Greg Bicouvaris, and also Facebook, Greg Bicouvaris as well. Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris is on the Audacy app and Audacy.com. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to our dear friend Anthony Checchio, the founder and CEO of 757 Sports Collectibles in Virginia Beach. Anthony, how are you this December day?
Hey, Greg, I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure, my pleasure. First of all, let's talk about your store, talk about the history and what's inside it that's special this month.
We opened the brick-and-mortar store 8 years ago. Great location, right next to Eagles Cheesesteaks. Very convenient for people parking right out in front. We've got handicap spots right out in front. It's just been really just a local's favorite. Any sports team, league, whatever you're looking for, gift items, collectibles. It's really a sports fan's paradise here in the 757.
You really have something for everyone. It's great gifts for young and old, and you got so much great team gear and team attire. I mean, really, you've got the new stuff, the new logos, the old logos. You've got the color rush. You have everything.
Yeah, and especially this year, the Kelly Green throwback revival for the Eagles. Everybody's been going crazy for that, so we're fully loaded up on that. NFC East has been strong. Pittsburgh Steelers have been strong as far as sales. And then the 49ers, with the on-field play, their fans have really been coming out.
Talk about what kind of attire you have and talk about all the different sports gear and attire that you cover, the different types of sports.
Well, we have a nice collection of signed and unsigned collectibles. We have apparel, headwear, footwear, meaning like socks, sweatshirts. Trading cards is another one that's been, revived in the last few years. And then we have a lot of novelty products, your items for your car, your drinkware as far as the koozies and the can coolers. So there's just such a plethora of options these days. They pretty much put a logo on everything. So it gives a lot of options to the fans.
Yeah, really. And, of course, talk about your hours and what is really the main focus this month.
So we are open 7 days a week now. It's different in December than it normally is during the normal year. And we're 10 to 6 on weekdays, and then 10 to 5 on Saturday, and 12 to 5 on Sunday. So if you want to sneak out while your sports fan is watching the football game, you can do that. We will have NFL games on Sunday in the store. And promotional-wise, we do offer special discounts to our loyalty members. So if you haven't joined that, definitely come in and ask about it or give us a call. And we're here to help. We got gift cards if you can't pick exactly what you want. And then we have a 1 million product special order catalog that you can also choose from.
And you're located right there at 2686 Virginia Beach Boulevard, like you said, right there. Very convenient on the boulevard. Of course, I know your dad's a Giants fan, so you pretty much have every type of team out there. And he said if you want to watch the game on TV, there's a big 1 o'clock game between the Rams and the Ravens. That should be a really good game.
I feel like that might be an easy one for the Ravens, but we'll see. The NFC doesn't have a lot of success against Lamar Jackson. I think he's either undefeated or only lost one time in almost 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Rams are looking stronger than I think most people expected, though. So we'll see what happens.
Why is there such a big drop-off with sports attire from football is the pecking order than baseball and basketball? What's the pecking order after football?
So football, NFL, and NCAA is definitely the top two. And then I think the tough thing for baseball is just the timing. With football, it runs into the holiday season, so it's top of mind during the holidays when a lot of people are buying gifts, whereas the MLB is starting in the spring, and then the summertime, there's just a lot of other things going on. There's concerts, there's people are traveling. I mean, it's just not top of mind like it is when it's cold outside and there's not as much to do.
The website 757sc.com. Talk about all the social media that you're on.
We're currently on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter. That one always kind of cracks me up now. We have a small YouTube page. I would say Facebook is the best to go to. We do have Instagram as well, but Facebook is where we post most things. But I actually recommend getting on our email and our text message list, which you can do by going to the website, 757sc.com.
Very nice. Really a great store. The phone number is 757-340-4016. Open daily in December, 2686 Virginia Beach Boulevard, and family owned and operated. You're very proud of that.
Oh, we love that. It's a fun part of the business. Working with my parents, we sometimes get some disagreements, but for the most part, it's just great to see my parents on a daily basis. And, you know, we make decisions for the store, and we just have fun with the customers that come in and try to serve them the best we can. Yeah,
proud father as well, Anthony Checchio is. And let's just make a little humor here. You know me, I like conservative type sports uniforms. You know, if I had a choice, the Colts uniform to me is just perfect for every team. But I know there's teams and players and fans that like color rush and fancy. What do you get more notice for this time of the year?
So it's funny. There's definitely two types of fans. You get the traditionalists that will not buy anything that's out of, you know, the norm from, like, for example, the Chicago Bears have pretty much always kept the same, or the Green Bay Packers have been traditional for so long. But then you have your fans, I'm included in that love, you know, the Oregon Ducks wearing a different jersey every week, or that the NFL is changing the helmets for some teams. I do even like the Commanders' black uniform. So it's just one of those things. I think some people just like to see new stuff every once in a while. I do benefit from it because it gives people another thing to buy. But even before I was in the business, I loved seeing all the different varieties. So we see both. The safe thing is to go with just the traditional look, but here at 757 Sports Collectibles, we like to try to offer a variety of everything so people can make their decision, you know, what's best for them.
No, you need to totally do that. Absolutely. The more the merrier, because a lot of different people have different, you know, styles and different attire, different occasions they want to wear it to. I mean, good example is the Falcons have worn red and black helmets both.
Right, yeah. And actually, I like that 90s black on black with the old Falcon helmet, but they don't really seem to wear that one with the old 90s jersey at the moment. So I'm not sure who makes those decisions, but I'm a big 90s jerseys fan, to tell you the truth. I think that was the best era for the logos and the jerseys, but I'm not against some of these new ones we've seen.
757-340-4016. The business is 757 Sports Collectibles. Anthony, all the best to you and your family for the holiday season.
Hey, Greg, great talking to you. Happy holidays.
All right, Anthony Checchio from 757 Sports Collectibles. Stay tuned. CP Shuckers, 2 locations in Virginia Beach, Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue, best food in the beach, decades of excellence. Matt, Mark, Chef Leon, and the great staff will take care of you for lunch and dinner and late night. Something for everyone. All the sports on TV. Watch all the games right there at CP Shuckers. Eat or be eaten. Oh Yummy Sushi Japanese restaurant in Kemps River is open and ready to serve you, featuring an all-you-can-eat experience with signature dishes from the kitchen and fresh sushi prepared for you. Oh Yummy Sushi is open for lunch and dinner daily with dine-in, carry-out, as well as DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. Located at 1255 Fordham Drive at the Kemps River Crossing. Call 937-2011 for Oh Yummy Sushi, the best sushi in Hampton Roads. This segment is brought to you by Linda Matney Art Gallery. Go by and see John Lee Matney and the great staff right there, where art comes alive in Williamsburg. Always great exhibits, great shows, excellent website as well, lindamatneygallery.com. Give them a call at 757-675-6627. And of course, they are on Facebook, Linda Matney Gallery. Fine art, exquisite art. Don't let art vanish in Williamsburg. right there at Linda Matney Art Gallery. The premier art gallery in Hampton Roads in Virginia is the Linda Matney Art Gallery. They are on social media.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual and comfortable atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar is located at 4201 Granby Street and is a tradition in Norfolk. Call 640-7705 and log on to MiHogarMexicanRestaurant.com. At Mi Hogar, there's something for everyone.
Congratulations to the Raising Cane's in Yorktown on their 1-year anniversary. And welcome back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Glad you're with us. We've had him on now 2 years in a row. Let's welcome Andy Lunsford from the City of Newport News, Parks and Recreation. How are you, my friend?
Very good, very good.
It's a big month this month. What's going on in Newport News? Of course, Celebration of Lights has been a signature event for decades.
Yes, sir. This is our 31st year for Celebration of Lights. Of course, it's held at Newport News Park. We opened on Thanksgiving night this year, and we're open through January 1st. We were the first drive-through light show in Virginia, and like I said, the show is located at Newport News Park. It's a 2-mile drive through the park. It's about 1 million, probably a little over 1 million lights. We're open every night, 5:30 to 10 p.m. It's $15 Monday through Thursday and $18 on the weekends. This year, we've added a USS Newport News display, which is a large battleship actually featuring, named after our hometown. And built by Newport News Shipbuilding. We've also got a new display featuring the new city logo, the Built on Breakthroughs, numerous multi-colored arches, some character pieces, to highlight it's about 50 displays and about 3 miles of rope lights that kind of align the park. So, yeah, it's a great show. It's been going on for a long time. It's become a regular tradition for a couple generations now. Now we're having, kids and grandkids are coming through and seeing the light. We've also got events going on at City Center. This past weekend they did the tree lighting. And every night you can go to City Center from 5 to 9 p.m. And they've got a light show there that goes on as part of the Enlighten series. We've also got the Downing Groves Cultural Arts Center has an event this weekend. December 9th, it's from 5 to 8 p.m. It's got holiday-themed games and children activities. There'll be food trucks, Christmas caroling, and that kind of thing. So we've got stuff going, at all parts of the city, north, central, and south. Very good. Talking to Andy Lunsford about the City of Newport News, and you mentioned the Celebration Lights. Where exactly is the new displays located at so people can be on the lookout? Sure. The first display that they'll see, the new display, is the logo, the Built on Breakthroughs, is at the entrance before you actually get to the ticket booth. The battleship is at the very end. It's one of the last things you'll see when you leave. That's a giant display. It's a super tall display. It's really cool to see that ship there. And then we've got the character pieces are kind of mixed throughout the whole display. We've moved stuff around, so it looks a little different each year. So it's kind of neat to see, the way it's laid out in the park. And there's so much to do there, and people really enjoy the park in the warmer weather just to have a picnic or go through a walk. So it's really nice to see the celebration and lights, really. And you can't drive in there without a pass once it gets 5:30. It's not like just you can stroll through there. I'm sure people have asked about that over the years when they didn't know about it. Yes, we actually, prior to Christmas every year, we have a walk on the Tuesday night before for the Center and Child and Family Services. It's an event. The money goes back to their organization and more information. They've been doing that for years, and they'll do that again hopefully for 2024. Unfortunately, it's passed for this year. We've also started a 5K recently on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. We did a 5K this year so people can actually run through the lights, and that's our folks at Flat Out Events help us with that. That's a really neat way to see the lights too. Unfortunately, they've passed. We plan to do them in 2024, but certainly you can come out and see the lights as you drive through now. Like I said, every night, 5:30 to 10 p.m., and we're here till January 1st. Great entertainment all throughout the entire City of Newport News, and there's also a pass usually in January, correct, Andy? Yes, sir. That's the Ambassador Pass, and that features several attractions in Newport News. They'll be ready the week of Christmas. They can be picked up at the Visitor Center or at the Tourism Office there at City Center, and they feature places like the Living Museum, Envy Plantation, the War Museum, places like that are all on the Ambassador Pass. So, but that's through our tourism department, and more information can be found on their website. in reference to the Ambassador Pass. But that's coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, great cohesion between you guys and the tourism department, Parks and Recreation. So much to offer in the city of Newport News. Let me ask you, gear off one question about adult sports leagues. Are there basketball leagues? What type of adult sports leagues are there?
Yeah, there's all kinds of sports leagues from youth. Right now, I know the basketball season's going. The youth are starting practices and getting ready for games. But yeah, there's all kinds of activities going on for youth, teens and adults. So yeah, more information can be found on our website, nnparksandrec.org, or you can call our main Parks and Rec number at 757-926-1400.
What about social media? Anything you want to plug?
Instagram. We have some Facebook pages, so look for us out there on your favorite social media, and you can find more information about the city, about happenings, and about the department and our great parks here in the city of Newport News.
Very good. Andy Lunsford, thank you. All the best, and appreciate everything you do for the city of Newport News. A great event. It's a must-see attraction. The celebration lights in Newport News, very convenient. You don't have to get out of your car and walk like you do at some other places. You just sit in the comfort of your car with the heat on, maybe some hot chocolate and some music. There's really no better way to spend the evening, Andy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We think so. We think it's a great event.
That was Andy Lunsford. Stay tuned.
Sakura Japanese Restaurant in Chesapeake is your destination for excellent Japanese food, featuring fresh sushi and hot dishes prepared in the kitchen for lunch and dinner. Sakura is located at 1437 Sands Drive at the Walmart Way Crossing. Oh Yummy Sushi is at the Renaissance Place at 401 North Great Neck Road in Virginia Beach. Both Sakura in Chesapeake and Oh Yummy Sushi in Virginia Beach are available with DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Pickup. Tasty Japanese food the way you want it is at Sakura and Oh Yummy Sushi.
Hi, this is Greg Bicouvaris, inviting you to listen to my podcast Sports Scene by going to YouTube and typing Greg Bic. That's Gregbic. Sports Scene is an informative interview show featuring local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests. We do a fun segment called What Teased Me Off as well. For more, log on to gjbtv.com, subscribe to Greg Bic on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at Greg Bic. Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris is on the Audacy app and Audacy.com.
So, what's Greg's problem?
I'm very mad!
God, I'm so mad right now!
I know you're mad. I know you're upset.
It's time for What Teased Greg Off.
Always a fun segment, What Teased Me Off. Ken, lack of updates on times during cross-country trips. You're flying, and you're like, am I near Norfolk? Am I near where I need to go?
All we want to know is, are we there yet?
Running to people you don't want to see from the present or the past, whether at the grocery store, especially this time of the year.
I hate that.
Ken, there's nothing worse than nosy neighbors.
Oh, I hate those.
People who sell their homes and still don't want to leave. They're almost like squatting in their own home with the sold sign on their front yard.
Get out. How about when you walk by somebody at work and you pass them in the hallway and they don't give you that little nod? They just walk by. Rude.
Absolutely.
An associated one, when you let somebody in traffic and they don't give you the courtesy wave. Mm-hmm. You know, that little, thank you.
Yeah.
And finally, the Paramount TV app on my Fire Stick. Maybe they should call it the Glitchy Mount app. Horrible.
Yeah, it's tough enough, too, like when you say thank you, the other person doesn't say welcome, and they both get upset because neither said thank you or welcome to each other. That's what teased me off. And welcome to our December holiday edition of Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Glad you're with us. One of our monthly featured guests is George McClain from The Marksman. George, how are you?
Doing well, Greg. Hope you are as well.
Very good. I want to start off with I was in several airports over the weekend and had to go to California as well. And what are the rules, just so people will know, with guns in airports? You're not allowed to bring guns at airports at all, I understand. But what do you do for safety when you go to these other states that you don't have any defense?
Well, you have to come up with another plan. So airports are very probably, I won't say the most restricted, but at least I think one of the most restricted places as far as carrying any kind of defense capabilities. So I haven't gotten into it, lately in a past life. I spent more time in the airports and in the air than I did on the ground and at home. So I was up on all this, but that's been, probably 15, 20 years ago. and things, laws, change, and I haven't stayed up on that particular deal. But you can carry guns in checked baggage, but you got to check it. You're not going to be able to get past security with that. I wouldn't call that carrying for self-defense at that point. Obviously, ammo has to be, out of that. So you can take a look at the, different sprays. But the biggest thing is just, what we always say is be aware of your surroundings and keep yourself out of situations that might present a problem. Of course, if someone else is coming in and they're the problem, you're not going to know this until something bad happens. Again, laws are for the law-abiding. The criminals don't care. They're just going to come in and do what they want to do.
Now, what about traveling state to state if you want to go see your son in another state?
Well, if are we talking about air travel or driving? Driving, it's very easy to stay up on state laws on that. So that's typically, in most states, not a problem. There are a few states. Illinois, I think, is one of them, and then all three of the West Coast states. There's an issue there with traveling with a firearm. But most of the other states, not a problem. But again, do your due diligence, do your research on individual state gun laws. I've got a son that lives in Georgia, so for me to drive, from Virginia to Georgia, not a problem at all. If you're carrying concealed, that's one of the bigger issues, and you want to make sure that these states that you're going through have reciprocity with your issuing state, whether that's Virginia or whoever you got your permit from. Make sure that the states that you're going to be traveling into have reciprocity with that issuing state.
Very nice. Talking to George McClain from the Marksman and Newport News. He is the owner. George, after the whole year has gone by now, anything to reflect on this past year? You've had a great year as far as guests, and we're getting further and further away from COVID.
Well, we are. Of course, recovery is not always as fast as the disease going away, if in fact it is. We've had a couple of outbreaks. Matter of fact, my wife and I both had it a couple of months ago after going 2 years without any issues at all. And then all of a sudden, both of us now wind up having it. So it's still there. As far as the business goes, recovery is a little slower than I think we would have, obviously, slower than what we would have liked, but it is recovery. And so we'll get, getting back up. So hopefully, famous last words, another few months, we'll be, back to that level that we were prior to COVID. So we've got our fingers crossed. But other than that, everything's going smooth. No real big hiccups, other than trying to get manufacturers or get our suppliers to where we can get what we want when we want it. And that's the key difference there.
Talking to George McClain, and of course they are located at 520 Industrial Park Drive in Newport News, 757-872-4130. Of course, Firearms Training Center, shooting sports retailer, indoor shooting range. And of course, the indoor shooting range should always be active, especially, is it more so in the winter, George, because it's not a whole lot to do outdoors?
I wouldn't say more so, but at least as much. It stays pretty active year round. I think a lot of times, during a holiday deal, we kind of see it maybe dip. Everyone's, from Thanksgiving to Christmas as far as, the range, but we do, see a lot, coming in that, they're getting permission to buy their own Christmas presents, so they'll come in and buy a firearm, or, that kind of thing. Or someone will come in and want to buy an accessory for their dad or husband, someone who has, firearms, and they want to give them something associated with that as a gift, for Christmas or whatever holiday that they're looking at.
Very nice. Of course, Military Mondays, and of course, First Responder Fridays, always. That's important too, George, because you're surrounded right there by Fort Eustis and so many military bases.
Well, we are, and I'm a vet myself, and so we like to take advantage of the fact that we can provide a little savings for the active duty and veterans, also at times, and our first responders. They're all very important aspects of our lives.
Talk about, now that it gets dark earlier, safety, George. We always talk about it, but especially in the winter months when people are idle, they kind of walk carelessly into these big box stores, but when it gets dark, as you've always talked about, criminals are just looking for any type of edge they can get, and they use the darkness as that crutch to prey on the vulnerable as well.
Well, that's very true, and of course, one of the preemptive moves that I preach as well is park under the lights. Don't take that last parking spot just because it's there and it's totally dark. The lights are broken out. The foliage is kind of maybe hiding you from plain sight to others. Just don't park there. And I tell people that there are concealed classes as well. If you got your concealed permit yesterday, and now today you find yourself, that last parking spot is open. If you wouldn't have parked in it before you got your concealed permit, don't park in it now. Don't put yourself in a situation where you may have to use deadly force self-defense. That's a choice that you make. So even without the concealed permits, I tell people, park under the lights. When it's nighttime like that, don't put yourself in a situation where you may be making yourself more vulnerable. Park under the lights.
George, tell us about that gun that got one of the awards, the Echelon. I saw that on Facebook last month.
To each their own, I suppose. Everyone likes a certain manufacturer or a certain type of firearm, and so we're in, I guess, that group as well. Mine is more of the SIG variety. My wife likes the Glocks, so everyone's got their own choice. So I will. I'm not going to talk bad about any other firearm or put mine over top of theirs because everyone say, well, I like a Remington better than the SIG or the Glock better than the SIG, and that's very true. I let everyone have that personal aspect that they can choose what they want and whatever they think's best is best for them. That's okay.
I look at it like medication, George. What works for you and me might not work for your neighbor or somebody else, but we're pretty much all of us are on medication.
Yeah, one type or another, especially when you get to my age.
Exactly. It's like a daily routine. You have to get reminders too. Talking to George McClain, but there's always something for everyone. For a first-time listener who's never been to the Marksman in Newport News before, what do they know? What do they need to know about the indoor shooting range, and what do they need to know before they walk in and they want to buy ammo or firearms or accessories for the holidays?
Well, I guess the biggest thing you'll start with as far as the shooting range is that it's primarily a handgun range. So we allow 22 long rifle in the rifle version, but that's the only one that you can bring in for long rifle. Everything else is handguns. Don't bring a gun in your hands carrying it. We want it in a holster or in a case. Why is that? Put yourself in our position. We don't know the difference of what a bad guy looks like necessarily versus a good guy. So if someone comes in with a gun in their hand, how am I to know, or my employees to know, that you're there to use the range or you're there to hold the place up? So be respectful. Guns put away. Yeah, you can bring them in, but make sure they're in a holster, okay, or in a case. When you come in, if there's a line, be respectful of the other customers and kind of just fall in behind. But we have, the lobby is divided up into the retail side with the left side, and the right side is the range. And, of course, that's the door that goes in on the range. So if you're looking to get on the range, you'll go in and we'll have, there's 2 registers set up. Someone's going to welcome you to the Marksman as soon as you walk in and ask how they can help. So just let them know what you're there for. If you're looking to buy a firearm, they'll bring you around to the left side and ask what you're interested in, kind of get a feel for you. We're not used car salesmen. We're going to try to sell you something just because we've got it sitting there. We want to try to find out that you'll match something that you would like. If you don't know, if you're a new shooter, if you get a gun and you don't like it, you're not going to shoot it. And if you don't shoot it, you're not going to be proficient with the firearm. So you just wasted anywhere from $300 to $500 to $600 or $700, depending on what you bought. So this is something that you need to get yourself educated about. We'll help that. It's
December. It's the holidays. 2 eyes in the front, 2 eyes in the back. Always be prepared. Don't walk in without your keys in your hand, and be safe. And really, that's the rule of thumb, George. No matter where you go, when you leave the door in the morning, you don't know what you're going to deal with, a hostile person at a big box store, somebody trying to cut you off from the road, a belligerent or arrogant human being. I always tell people, buildings don't cause drama, people do.
That's exactly right. And same way with the firearms that people want to outlaw all the guns. It's not the guns. It's the person pulling the trigger. I could I drive that into the ground all the time, but I mean that's what it is. We need to address the people, not the gun. if everyone was throwing hammers, get rid of the hammers, well, then how would we build the houses if we got rid of all the hammers? Again, it's the people that's doing it, not the tool that's being used.
Yep, it's more about mental health that needs to be invested as well. The Marksman at 520 Industrial Park Drive in Newport News. Go visit them. Open Monday through Saturday. George, all the best to you and your family for a wonderful holiday season.
And the same to you, Greg. You have a great holiday time, and we'll talk to you next year.
Thank you, George. We'll be back after this. Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris is now on the Audacy app and Audacy.com. I want to thank our guests today on Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris, Woube Gebre, Anthony Checchio, Andy Lunsford, and George McClain. For more, log on to gjbtv.com and click the YouTube link on the homepage. Thanks for listening to our December edition of Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. For Ken Carson, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon. Happy holidays.